And now something completely different.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Strap yourself in.
Because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This podcast is proud to be part of the Talk Sport Fan Network. Talk Sport, powered by fans.
And now, here's your host.
He talks right, he knows his stuff, and he knows how to make a girl laugh.
Thank you. I'm here all week. Right, Chris.
Hello there. Good evening. Are we live? I'm not sure. I can't see. Yes, we are. Oh, it's been one of those days today. Welcome along. I thought I was going to be the one that was crying into me pot of tea today, but I think I'm going to be doing it together with my guest Carl. I was watching it this morning up to half time. Palace had just equalised, and I've just come back and gone, what the has happened? Well, at least they've got a manager. At least they're not in the bottom three. Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, good day, goodbye. Hello, welcome along. This is Leicester Till I Die, LTID TV, and we are live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you're listening on Catch Up on the podcast, thank you very much for lending me your ears. You must be a sucker for punishment. And we are available on all the main podcast platforms. And if you've got a smart speaker, just say, play the podcast Leicester Till I Die, and you'll hear all our dulcet tones via, again, your ears. And of course, we are, as you can see below, on all the main socials. Well, I'm going to just read you something off the BBC, because this kind of sums it up, and then we're coming into some comments. Just 7 years ago, the Foxes shocked the footballing world by lifting the Premier League trophy, having started the season of odds of 5,000 to 1. Only that had a pound. An FA Cup triumph and Community Shield followed, and of course, back-to-back European campaigns and quarterfinals. Let's not forget, quarterfinals of the Champions League. We're now 19th in the table, having just been beaten by Bournemouth. It was a 6-point match, a 6-pointer, a relegation battle. And I thought we'd actually sacked Brendan Rodgers, but we have got a manager who I actually believe, I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember Scooby-Doo, but you know at the end of the Scooby-Doo cartoons, they used to rip the mask off the bad guy, and it was the caretaker or the janitor, whoever it was underneath. And I reckon that's what's going to happen at the end of Adam Sadler's reign as Leicester caretaker manager. We'll go up to him, we'll rip the mask off, and he will have turned around to the camera and he'll say, I would have made it if it wasn't for them pesky players. That, I think, is what is going to happen. We're just hearing the same thing all the time. The typical relegation BS that's coming out. Look, whoever we blame, you can blame the players. You can blame Brendan Rodgers. he was the manager. He took the ultimate thing of being sacked because of his managerial nous and where he took us to. You can blame Top, and he has to take his fair share of the blame because it happened on his watch. And let's not joke about this, but I'm not saying let's get rid of Top. I'm not saying Top should be sacked. He's the best owner, obviously, him and his late father, any club could ever have. But we have gone from the club that everybody wanted to emulate. Everybody said, we want to be run like Leicester are run. And we are now, and no disrespect to Leeds, but for those of us, again, that are old enough to remember, we are now doing exactly what they did. Going worse. We spent money. We didn't sell players when we should have done. Maybe we were asking too much of them. And we got to the point of we're just going down and going down. Am I scared of back-to-back relegations? Of course I bloody am. Because obviously half the players we've got will be gone, thank God. And the other half that we want to keep won't want to stay. So we have chased the dream. You could say Top was too loyal, or you could just say he was too blind to what was going on. He is at the top. He has to take some responsibility. But look, I did a show on the channel called Life's the Pitch. That's all about what I think of Top and whether he should take the blame. So do go and check it out. Just before we bring my guest in, we're going to say hello to people in the chat. I have turned subscriptions on for the chat, so to be able to comment in the chat, you have to subscribe. Only because of the nature of the show, it could obviously get a little bit nasty. Rene is in. Good afternoon, Rene. How are you? Gray, afternoon, Chris. We are doomed. That's another show, isn't it? What was it? Dad's Army. We're doomed, I tell you, doomed. That's not a very good Scottish accent at all. Paul Goody, afternoon. Tater Peeler Mark II. Arsenal. They lost 5-1, but they're still 5 points better off than us. Oh, this is it. This is it. They changed the manager. Roy Hodgson. We all took the piss. Roy Hodgson. He's beaten us. Just shows I know nothing about football. We're not bothered about Arsenal, Rennie. That's not this show. I remember Scooby Doo. Let's remove the clown, but if he got to take the circus with him, I know. How did we keep Adam Sadler? He was part of his backroom staff. I don't know. Maybe he was there before Brendan joined. I just don't know. Jesse March is a great manager. Okay. Good afternoon, Chris. Hello, Matthew. Why him? It's a very good question. I look at that every time I look in the mirror when I wake up in the morning. Why him? John Lowry dies, Dad's Army. We're doomed. Exactly. Look, let's bring him in and say commiserations for today, but proving me wrong because, like I say, I had them in my bottom three. Could still happen. 8 games to go. Is this going to be another great escape? We've done it once. Maybe we're trying to live up to that again. But let's bring him in. And it's Carl, and he's a big, huge Leeds fan, and I've got to be careful that I don't lose him. Here we go. Carl, how the devil are you, sir?
I'm good. I think I turned off the rest of the game after we went 2-1 down, went 3-1 down. I just thought, you know what, this is going to be one of those days. And I didn't expect Palace to whack the floor of our asses completely today. I really was surprised with that result. 5-1. Roy Hodgson coming back. I thought he was going to go a bit more conservative, but bloody hell, they didn't look conservative today with their football. I'm like, so. I
know. Yeah. I mean, you are back. The thing with Leeds is, and I wasn't sort of being totally disrespectful, but obviously you've been in a worse. Well, we both had clubs. We went bankrupt and into administration. You very nearly did. Yeah. But, Peter Ridsdale, completely the opposite end to Top.
I know. The way you phrased it, we lived the dream. It's like, yeah, that's exactly the same as that bastard that did say in that press conference, and I remember it quite well. I'm like, oh no. oh no, yeah, I can see where this is going now, so.
Yes. Well, exactly. I mean, we chased the dream to try and get into that top four. We bought players and spent money on players, probably more than we would normally do.
Yeah.
And then we didn't sell when we should have done. Like I say, maybe we were asking for too much. Tielemans didn't go. We didn't sell one big player. But there are a lot of similarities between, what happened to you and what is now happening to us.
Yeah, very similarities. It's like what nearly 20 years now apart from how this has happened. Exactly is when Leicester did try to challenge to get the top four. I missed on it twice. I thought this could be a regression. It slowly did come down after when you did miss out the top four 2 seasons in a row. Leeds had exactly that. We missed it in one season and we just regressed so much badly. And we stayed up that season, but the season before we went down with you guys, and it was quite really tough, and it was a huge impact on Leeds. And and I think the difference is you have a very good owner that cares about the club. We had an owner that just borrowed money from the loans, which it just cost. It needed to kill the club. And I think the difference is when you've had to play for quite longer, sometimes you have to move them on to try to replace them, to try to to keep the flow going. It's like Sir Alex Ferguson. He always thought about 2-3 years down the line that he has to change his squad, because he knows at some point they're not going to get past their peak. Their peak is going to go, and he was always prepared. And I think Leicester's in that situation where they didn't know what to do with that. When you got someone like James Maddison, especially Harvey Barnes and Kieran Dewsbury-Hall are coming probably to their peaks now, to try to be, continue. And then like Jamie Vardy, he's going past his peak, but you got to find you got a long-term replacement for him, but they're not playing the players that the one that's going to replace him.
Yes, yeah. Can I just say to David Allsop, who is the Facebook user in the chat, grow up. His attitude of fuck's sake, get on and ask him about Jesse. Just wait, and I'm sorry, you have now been suspended from the Facebook group. You will be in a minute when I get around to doing it. But I'm sorry, if you cannot show respect when you come in and we have a guest on, then you go. You go. I'm sorry, I don't want anything to do with you in my group. So go away and play with yourself. We will get to Jesse in a minute. I'm going to keep him waiting a bit longer now. I'd ask the question, why did the club casually allow 8 of the 25-man squad to be out of contract this season? Again, there's a lot of questions that need asking. Bizarrely, Leeds fans are laughing, but didn't he keep Leeds up? I mean, went down to the last day. I can remember that video of you and Dan, and congratulations to Burnley there on the way back. But I do remember. He did keep you up, and you don't care. It doesn't matter whether the fact that it was sort of, a case of you did it on the last day, or you did it with 3 games to go. The man kept you up.
He did, and I'll give him credit for that. He did keep us up. And I think it was all gung ho, especially enough. How he was trying to keep us up, because we thought that Burnley were going to stay up. We thought we were more, and Everton. We thought we were going to be the biggest hit. If we did stay up, if we kept losing those games and didn't win on the last day. If we didn't win in the last day of the season, but we did. So for the fact of the matter is, he did keep us up. And, because it was gung-ho, but it was the only way that we could do it for the time being. He was no way going to change it. But it did kind of fit. His first game was against Leicester last season. His first game when he came, he said it was against Leicester. We lost you 1-0. We had 1 or 2 good chances. We just couldn't get it. But, we did have to get really important points towards the end of last season. So, he did keep us up. But it was a question: was he the right manager going forward for us? And that was some Leeds fans was answering. But we had to see what we had a good and a decent start, and then just lost it a bit after the World Cup break. So there was always a questions with that.
Yeah, David, I was going to say, he says he's a 74-year-old fan. Well, you should know better then. And you're now a 70-year-old fan that is no longer a member of Leicester Till I Die group on Facebook. I'm sorry, I can't stand bad manners. FM 303, yeah, ironically for Leeds, they got exactly what could and possibly have happened to us against Palace. Yeah, I mean, in that first half, bloody hell, yes. I don't want Marsch, I want Pearson. Marsch long term, no way. Well, this is what we're going to talk about. Let's get on to it now. And I will just do this, and here we go. The wonders of modern technology. Don't forget, and I just want to say, if you're doing nothing tonight at 7:40, the Sunday Night Club on Talk TV with Mark Saggers. I think they've got all the fans on from the different clubs. Obviously, that Jeremy Kyle and Piers Morgan weren't right wing enough for them, so they've got me on. 7:40, we'll be talking Leicester Bournemouth, and I am dreading it. I really am. There's no quiz. Drag it out. Don't ask him to see it. A man of my own thoughts. We got rid of him anyway now. Look, Jesse Marsch. This is who the man. And I have to say that the latest news, which was, I mean, everybody was sort of bigging him up and saying, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. A couple of hours ago, Sky said Leicester undecided on next manager, despite Marsch talks. So it's not necessarily all, signed, sealed, delivered, his hours, so to speak. It's as clear as mud, but it always is with Leicester City. But and I'm just I did, obviously we've got yourself in for your comments, but I did actually have a chat with LS11, which is another Leeds United group, Leeds United Media, and I can just say that Carl will give his details out at the end, and his links are in the description below. But basically, he says, nice guy, he talks the talk, but didn't walk the walk at Leeds. His tactics are very questionable. He plays a very narrow pressing formation, which seems to work well overseas, but not in the Premier League. The most disappointing thing was he was not pragmatic enough and couldn't adapt or change the style to suit a game or change a game. Well, that's no different to what we've had this season. It was very ugly most of the time. We were getting caught with counter-attacks a lot, conceding many goals, but also not able to create enough or take our chances at the other end. You can possibly blame the players too, but mainly his tactics were the issue, and as a result, we lost patience with him. Concur with that, Carl?
100%. I agree with LS11 with that. He's 100% right on that one, because he did talk the talk, but he couldn't walk the walk at Leeds. And his pressing formation was too way too narrow for the Premier League. Just looking at the formations he did play, it was always a 4-2-3-1, and now a 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-2-2. Which was a bit of a huge way to change leads, and that was always questionable with the tactics, and he never was pragmatic enough, especially when we were like 1-0 down. He couldn't be pragmatic to change the game. For example, against Nottingham Forest, he didn't do, before he got the side, he didn't do enough to change the tactics to be a bit more pragmatic, to try to get an equaliser, and we struggled in that game. And I think that's why we had so much losses of conceding. So mostly all the whole 90 minutes of the game, so you question it a bit. And Southampton wanted him, but everything was nearly done, the deal was nearly done and so forth. It was just one or two issues I think I heard that they get. But the thing is, Marsch is still somewhere in Yorkshire or somewhere around Europe, because he's not I don't think he's moved back. He's still got a home in England, in Leeds. So no one knows. So we don't know if he's going to be the next Leicester manager. I don't know if he's the right man for it. He's going to take another huge club who's got a good pride of history as well. So for that matter, fact is, I don't think he could. You can see why that's why he couldn't cut the mustard at RB Leipzig, when he only won like two, winning trophies easily in Austria for Salzburg. So you do question, with the approach that he has. And I think his backroom staff didn't do enough as well too, to try to tell him change a bit more, change the style a bit, because if we were struggling, it was just gung ho too much.
Yeah, Matthew says here, as I said, he sounds like Brendan. Brad said it sounds like we were getting an American Brendan. Brad, I don't think he actually turned down Everton. He turned down Southampton because they only wanted him till the end of the season, which makes me think if we do get him, it's not just going to be till the end of the season. I'm going to be honest with you. If it was till the end of the season, I would welcome him with open arms because I just want somebody to come in with a fresh pair of eyes, with a fresh attitude.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all that you need. It's just somebody that can come in and go, right, we're going to do this differently and we're going to do that differently.
I know. I 100% agree with that one. It's just, can you do things differently? That's the question. You got other managers like Rafa Benitez who's still available to, another manager that could fit Leicester, how he can do it. Give him credit for what he had to do at Newcastle. That was a tough job. Or what he did under Mike Ashley, a few seasons ago. And I know your long term was Graham Potter, but I think that one's dead in the water the way it has happened to Chelsea with his big fat paycheck. And I don't think he's going to come a club in a long term. And I think Leicester need another direction. I thought Leicester, during last season could have changed Brendan, last season. And I think those questions, you could have looked at getting Christophe Gaultier, who's not at PSG. He might be sacked in the next few weeks with them because how they went out in the Champions League, who was more of a better kind of fit for Leicester of what he did at Nice, but you see his credibility is now gone dwindled as well too. What happened at PSG because there's been a lot of fight between Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar, so there's a lot of questions of that. So Leicester need to have a plan of who's going to be the right manager long term, and I don't think they have anything long term at the moment. I think short term is probably the best answer. I don't surprise you're not going to keep your two caretaking managers until the end of the season. What Southampton have had to do, so
Yeah, I get that. I mean, when you look, and I think Top's left it too late because I think there was 10 games to go, and it's so we've missed a lot of managers that were available, like you say, because other clubs have taken them. Let me ask you straight out then: if this was Leeds now, and you're in Leicester's position, knowing what you know, if he were only doing it until the end of the season, would you take him on to keep you up?
That's a tough question. Where he is now, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take him right now. I wouldn't. Not with a chance. We need a bit more. It would be too much looser of the whole defense being so much not lackluster, very much of not doing the man marking. I wouldn't take him, and also of not playing with the wings of with bringing our wing backs to support the attacking midfielders as well. So I do worry about that. I wouldn't take him right now because the way how it ended towards the end of the season, towards after January, than he was last season. It's a different outcome.
Talk to me about Jesse. This is. Let me just get rid of that comment. I'd sooner have Kim Marsch as well. You're quite right, Andy. This is his playing. He was a midfielder. All his obviously playing career was in American soccer, but he made 321 appearances. So it's not somebody that's come in and has never played the game. So he's got the basic ideas. But then you look at his management career, and we're looking at, assistant manager there. I did put ASS for assistant manager. I thought somebody's going to comment on that. But he was USA assistant manager. Then he went to Montreal. And then obviously and this is what Leicester apparently were quite impressed with, is they like the setup that Red Bull have with their group and all the clubs that they own. And that was it. He went from one to another. He had a lot of success. He had New York Red Bulls, first of all. He got that job then with Salzburg. And it's Austria. And what you will say about the Austrian league. We got Daka from Austria. And he did have a couple of good seasons there. He then went to Leipzig, which is obviously a bigger job, and he struggled. When you got him at Leeds, were you surprised?
Yes, I was, and but I think people were talking. I think people at the club was talking about he was a long-term appointment to Marcelo Bielsa at that time. He was always a long-term, long-term manager to replace him if Bielsa did go and we did sack him. So when he was out the job, it was probably the right time to get him to try to, we signed him on a 3-year contract, which we thought it was a risk. It was a huge risk taking to do that. It really was. So for that matter, we had to, some of the fans were not happy about it, but we had no choice. We had to get behind him, and we could see the style of play he was trying to do with that first game against you lot last season his first game, and we had chances, but we were still losing games, and we were a little bit erratic. But we did try to get 1 or 2 decent results to try to stay up. That was the more important one completely. I think the game. I think we did win. It was. It was getting the draw against Brighton was more important. There was also another team that we had to get a. I think it was either Villa. Yeah, it was either Aston Villa or something, because I do remember that one to get that result at home. We lost to Villa that's last season when he came in, but it was one of those teams down the bottom where we had to get a win, towards the end, and we did get that because it was quite tough as well. So, but as at the moment, it's with his managerial career, you can see he's been the manager through the Red Bull Group. That's what it is, just for the Red Bull Group, which is so easy to to rise ranks in. But when you go to someone like Salzburg, he had Erling Haaland for at least a year, 2 years before he went and moved to Dortmund in 2020. So you still won the league with Daka, Wang, who's at Wolves as well. But when you're not done well at Leipzig, of trying to be a bit more, it does suck your life out when you've been in that project group for so long and you were just running out of ideas. So the matter of fact we had no choice to take him because we didn't know who else we could get. We did have other names, but he was a long-term successor to Marcelo Bielsa, which was the only choice we had. So we thought he bought his own players in that he did this past summer and in January. But it didn't work out as it wanted to be, during the course of the season. We were shipping in too many goals.
Yes. I mean, let's get Mick McCarthy, says Brad. We've just found out that ex-Leicester City player, Robbie Nielsen, has been sacked at Hearts. And Brad, I know you love a good Hearts manager at Leicester, and I know you love an ex-player as a manager, so he could be the perfect for you. He really could.
Do you know what I'm going to say to you as a Hearts fan? He was getting predictable. He was getting predictable the last few weeks, and a lot of fans, like I say, me as a Jambo, the patience was turning, tides was turning. I could see it on the forums completely, and at the fans as well. We were like, "This is the point. We need to look for someone," because he was not the right. We didn't want him back in the first place when he came back after Daniel Stendhal left when we got relegated. So it was a no alternative choice, but because I think they found it because we now still define our own team in the UK. We'll make the right decision who was the best manager to come in at the moment, because for that matter, I think Nielsen needs to take a break completely.
Yeah. Colonel says there, and good afternoon, Colonel. Don't see why Leicester don't try and get a Serie winner like a Mourinho, Simone, Poch, or Asari. Thing is, this is the problem. With 10 games to go, looking that we could be in the Championship next year, not one of those or anybody like them would come to Leicester. If it had been done, 10 games ago or something, when we had a chance and we weren't in the bottom 3, then you could say, come to a Premier League club. You're selling somebody a Premier League club. What you're now doing is selling a club that could well be a Championship club next year. Mourinho wouldn't touch us with a barge pole.
Yeah.
So let's be honest with you. This is what we've had a manager now, even possibly in Claude Puel, going back. I think the last manager we had that actually showed any passion was probably Martin O'Neill, and the current guy that's caretaking it doesn't either. But look, that at least he's got a bit of passion in him. Look at that,
I know, but he shouldn't wait too much sometimes. That's the thing.
Well, I get. What sort of style did he play? I mean, we're here as fans bemoaning the fact that we've got a manager now that is just the same as Brendan Rodgers, a must-win game at home against another team in the bottom three, and he plays two defensive midfielders. He plays only one up front, and that's like a 36-year-old. Bless him, Jamie Vardy, but he's seen better days. We're screaming for two up front. What sort of formations and style did Jesse go for?
I think he will go with 4-2-3-1, no doubt. But I think what will be happening it'll be more as a 4-2-2-2, which means that your wing backs will be more attacking down the wings, which will leave the two defensive midfielders and also one defensive midfielder and two defenders to try to cover if another team will counter attack. And the problem is it could be a bit narrow, which I don't think that will suit Leicester. Leicester's the opposite there. Leicester's always been more about on the wings. I don't think that will suit someone like James Maddison in a 4-2-2-2 formation like that. I really don't. The 4-2-3-1 probably more better for Dewsbury Hall, Barnes and Maddison to try to get a bit more depth out on the wings of in the free roam rather than being restricted. If you go free roam, you're going to be a little bit cautious on making sure that you defend back if the team's counting against you on a quick play.
We just want somebody, I think, that will play two up front, because last time we had any success, that was how we were playing. Does he have favourites? Because again, that's another thing with Brendan. He can be known to have favourites, and if you fall out with Brendan, that was it. You never. Well, even if he praised you, suddenly a player would disappear, not be ill, but just wasn't being picked. Was Jesse Marsch a bit like that?
That was a thing. I think there was rumours before he got the sack. There was a player discontent. I think there was questions that he wanted. He wanted to bring another American player like Kai Vanger from Philadelphia Union, who was doing quite well as a left back, but the club was refusing to do that because it was getting. Listen, I liked Tyler and Weston McKinney who come in, and Brendan Harrison's had tough season, but he's trying to get back to his form as well. It was going to be too Americanized. I think Leeds needed a different approach, and that's why you see Tyler Adams was his favourite at New York Red Bulls, then at Leipzig and at Leeds as well. So there was that favouritism there that he's going to play some of his favourite players that he's coached under the last couple of years prior to that. But I think Jesse Marsch realizes that I have no favourites. He's going to have to really, really get on side with all the Leicester players before he has favourites. If he does come to the club and keep you guys up, that's another huge question. It's doubtful.
There is a groundswell of opinion. I'm going to go through the comments at the moment. I have never had such a response to some of my tweets that I've been putting out. Leeds fans especially have been, they really, and quite right, I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't be, they're saying basically saying as well as laughing at us, saying seriously? How bad are you if this is the guy you're looking forward to? I mean, I just want somebody in, and I think a lot of Leicester players just want somebody in. But like I say, I don't think I had this sort of response when we took on Claude Puel. And he had a bit of a history of all right, he got Southampton to a final, but he wasn't the most sort of first choice manager that people wanted. Are you surprised by the reaction of Leicester fans? And I would have to say the majority of which are saying we don't want him.
I'm not surprised, to be quite honest with you. I think there was some of that thing when he was approached by Southampton, a lot of Saints fans didn't want him as well. So this is not a huge surprise. And I think for him, I think he's more better suited in a European team than an English team at the moment. I think that's what the issue is. I think he just needs. I think he has to go back to you because that he probably get more better success than he is in England. I don't know. I just feel like he's tried it. It's not worked out. The problem is when you with American managers who come into the English game don't tend to do well. I think there's sometimes it's just an issue with that, of how their approach is different to a European manager and an English manager throughout, because the European English might have the similarities, but the American managers have a different approach, approaches to it. So it's quite tough. It really is, and that's why I think they're more better working in Europe but not in England. That's a huge struggle.
Yeah. Let's just go through. I mean, I've just put my Twitter feed up there. We got quite a few Leicester fans because I did post at least he has passion and no notebook. Because Wesley says there, Frank McClintock. No. Just trying to find some. Oh, Steve Barnes says, bad manager, simple as that. Here we go, FG10. The fact that you were excited about him is genuinely embarrassing. Let's have a look here. It's a parody account. I don't know what that means. It's all as clear as mud. That was one of my own. You can never find things when you're looking for them, can you? Rogers is literally just Irish Marsch. Guy's been sacked everywhere he goes, and his only achievements are in Scotland. So that's what's on about Brendan. Yes, we would. It's blatantly obvious that being a good motivator isn't enough to succeed as a Premier League manager. I mean, that's a fair point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Bloke wouldn't fill a post-it note with his football knowledge. If he was a good motivator, we wouldn't be where we were under him. No tactics, plenty of passion. He will take you down. Or even ability. This is no ability. All he wrote on his pad was, I am shit, I must do better. Then this is a Leeds fan here. They'll be putting effort in all right, using plenty of chaotic, narrow approach, playing the final third, lose it, then killed on the counter with a nice wide diagonal. Does that kind of sum him up?
Very much he has, though, because they're like the similar tweets that we did, what us Leeds did before we got started. And even on the few over like at the Athletic as well, it's a huge surprise. So to me, it's not a huge surprise because I think it's not one of those matches you want to avoid to a point at any Premier League club.
Yes. I mean, you obviously are now back in the relegation battle. Let's be honest, you aren't out of it. I thought you were at one point. I have to be honest with you. Would you be where you are now if you'd kept hold of Jesse Marsch?
No, I don't think so. I think we'll probably be in the bottom three.
Or you'd be worse off than you are now.
Yeah.
I thought when you said that,
a lot worse off. And I tell you why, because I think there was still a lack of creating creating chances. We were in the front of the goal. It would have been unavoidable, but not with him, and that would have been the issue. I think we would have been a lot worse off if he was still the manager. But we'll get someone like Javi Grassi in, who can be pragmatic and change his formations. Unlike today, which was a shock, but we still have a better goal difference compared to Everton and Nottingham Forest, who are way ahead. But it's between ourselves and you guys, because we have 3 goals worse different than yourselves at the moment. So it will depend. But even Wolves has got a bit of a worse goal difference along with us as well, and Bournemouth. So it's anyone to play for. It's going to be goal difference. That's what it is, and I think it's going to take at least 5 or 6 wins to be more comfortable to stay up this season. That's all it's going to be with these next 8 games.
Yeah. I mean, sorry to say this, but thank you, Palace, because your goal difference was actually better than ours at the start of the day.
Minus 11, I know.
Yeah. And I thought, hang on a second, because at one point, our goal difference was amazing, It's slowly been eroded away, but like you say, Southampton, Notts Forest, Everton, Bournemouth. I mean, Bournemouth's minus 29. It could literally come down to that points, that goal difference. Sorry, I'm just going to invite Brad on for a few minutes. He's on a promise, so he can't stay long. Lucky Brad. Let's just get him on. There we go. Just sending the link. This is quite interesting. How many points do you think it will take for a team to stay up? I mean, we're normally saying 40 or around there. And good evening, Lena. Welcome along. How many points do you think it will take to stay up? I don't think it will take as many this season.
I don't think it's going to be many this season. I think it's going to be at least maybe another 6 to 9 points, probably, because look at the way everything is at the moment. Chelsea's probably in 39. They will be where I think between us, Palace, I think it's going to be at least probably maybe just around 40, about 38 to 40 points is probably the magic number.
You think it'll be that many?
Yeah, I don't think there'll be much between these teams, but I think it's going to be at least another 6 to 9 points minimum, and then maybe 10, 11 points is the maximum for a team to stay up the season. I think that's what's going to be, because the way it is now, I just think looking at like teams who are, there's so much. Like I said, it's going to be on goal difference. That's going to be a huge question now. I think Palace looks like they could be okay now under Roy Hodgson. We'll see how it goes, but time will tell. Time will tell.
Yes. Yeah. Good evening, Brad.
Good evening, lads. No, I'm not on a promise. If I was on a promise, I'd tell you to F off.
I only said that because I knew you weren't. I mean,
you know me well. You know me well.
There's not many people have less action than me, and I think you're one of them.
Statues get more action than me, man.
Liverpool have missed a penalty, by the way, just to say. But Brad, I ask you the same question, and I'm asking this because of something I'm going to be leading up to. How many points do you think you'll need to stay up?
35. I said it a long time ago. This is not going to be a 40-point season to stay up. It'll be 35.
The interesting thing is, gentlefolk, that if I bring in that, you probably can't see this, Brad, but this is Jesse Marsch's details of where he's been a manager and the points that he got as a manager. Now, at Salzburg, it was over 2 points a game, but taking the points that he had when he was with you, Carl, he got 1.16. Now, we've got 8 games left, I believe, haven't we?
Yeah.
So that would give us, Brad, 34.28 points. So obviously we can't have the 2-8, so we round it down to 34.
Well, I say give us the goal difference on that one, and the edge gives us a survival of 17th by 2 goals. There you go. That's how Leicester are staying up, folks. You've heard it here first.
Well, that's a fair point. We've just said that, though, haven't we, Carl? We've just said, goal difference could be the difference, and yes, it can be worth a point if if Bournemouth drop down back into the mix and they're on minus 29, that could be a thing. So 35. You don't think that was going to be enough, though?
I don't think it. Maybe Bradley is right. Maybe 35 points, maybe enough. But I think there's some teams will surprise if they can get beyond. Because Leeds was on 38 points last season, where we did stay up just about. I think we were just a point ahead of a Burnley. But like Brad said, it's going to be interesting because it might be, like I say, it could be around about 35 to 38 points in my mind. But I just think you're right, Brad. The goal difference is going to be the huge factor because, like Bournemouth, I said, Bournemouth's on minus 29, Everton's on minus 20, Nottingham Forest on minus 30. It could just be any of those teams who's got the worst goal difference, or the teams got the least goal difference still go down. So this is all to play for at the moment. It really is.
Brad, a serious question: did we miss the boat with Roy Hodgson?
It certainly looks that way. You're talking a club in danger. There's always the same 3-4 managers that get floated around with names. Roy Hodgson, poor Roy Hodgson. He'll be back managing to survive Palace when he's 95. Bless him. But this is what they become known as, don't they? They become known as steady managers that can do a job, like he did with a Fulham. He realises it's a bridge too far with a job like Liverpool, and then he gets to that age bracket, in the greatest respect in the manager's lifespan, where you go, he knows that division inside and out. If anyone can keep us up with him, and you get Allardyce thrown into that mix, you're starting already, even though he's a lot younger, to get Dyche thrown into that mix as a survivalist specialist. And maybe we did because, cover your ears, Cole, smashing Leeds 5-1, beating Leicester 2-1, and their game, before that, which I think they got a draw in, or they may have lost it, but they still picked up 6 points out of 9. No one else in that bottom section is doing that. Leeds aren't doing it, Leicester aren't doing it, Everton aren't doing it, Southampton are more than gone. They're definitely not doing it. So one of us has to do it out of the 4 of us. And maybe we've all missed the boat on a point in the wrong manager, because it certainly looks that way in terms of results we're getting.
I mean, I think Palace are probably now safe. They're on 33. I mean, Carl, I don't think they can go down. West Ham are looking safe. They're on 30, but they have got a game in hand. So again, they're winning ugly, but they're winning. Who cares whether it's ugly or pretty? So it could be maybe Bournemouth down on that. As a goal difference could be a big factor. Is your manager going to be there at the end of the season?
Well, we're having talks at the moment with Harry Gracia. I think he's on a flexible contract. So I think what is that terms means that he's on a contract till the end of the season, but he has an option in view to to extend it for another 2.5 years of probably 3.5 years if the club stays up. So that's why at least they take a risk on Harry Garcia. Yeah, before then, we knew that he was the right man because there's a lot of questions today, but before today, we questioned that he's the right manager that we needed before today's result, which was disappointing. But I think he still can get 1 or 2 good results towards the end of the season that will keep Leeds up. And I think we are, trying to get, I think the players that we're missing with Ngonto and Max Werber have been a huge miss, and we got to get those players. We have to get those players back anyway. So that's really vital. It's really vital for we get those players back to full fitness, just so we can try to stay up. Because without them, I think we did look a little bit lost in the second half without those players.
The interesting thing is, if you see the graphic there as well, Carl, is we're just saying would 34 plus a goal, point maybe for the goal difference be enough? His win percentage at Leeds United was less than 30%. So you probably got to say, if you look at it that way, he's probably not the man that we need.
No, exactly, and I think that's he's one of the lowest percentage out of one of the bottom percentages of any Leeds manager managing a club. So that was a huge worry with that one. So he was not like I said. I don't think he's the right man for someone like for you guys, for any Premier Club with that record that he had with us. So you do question it a lot, actually.
Brad's got to go, so I'm just going to get one last question in, if you're okay, Brad. This might be the shortest answer you've ever given if you've got to go. Obviously, he was managing Red Bull Salzburg, Jesse Marsch, and he was there 19 to 21. He played 94 games and he won 64. Of course, Patson Daka was at Red Bull Salzburg from 17 to 21. 82 games he played, 54 goals scored. Maybe he could get the best out of Patson Daka.
Come on, Cameron, quickly for this last question because I'm racing around trying to do things. I really shouldn't agree to come on, but I wanted to get on for the conversation. The thing is, you're hedging your bets on one player and one manager coming together to galvanise that, and I don't think that's needed. If we were 14th, if we were sort of Palace situation, we'd made the transition. I'd go, go on, chance you're on. We ain't going to go down. We only need 3 points out of 8 games. We'll manage that easily, sort of thing. Looking about 36 to be extra safe, if you will.
Yeah,
I would be okay then. Try and get the best out of Daka and let someone else take the reins and get the best out of Daka with Iheanacho. But you're hedging a lot on him to come in just because he worked with Patson Daka. Patson Daka might want to punch him in the face for all we know. He might not like him. I'm not saying that's the case, but you never know.
Always look on the bright side.
I'm having a bridge meeting, mate. I'm having a bridge meeting with some Leicester fans.
But yeah, I totally take your point. But I'll let you go, Brad. Thank you just for popping on. And,
Brad.
No worries, mate. And again, Carl, I am sorry that you suffered what you had to today. We deserve that beating, not you.
I know. You know what? I do agree. I was thinking, how do you lose 2-1 last week? I do not know, but we lose 5-1 today. I'm like, if we swap those results around, I would feel bad for you guys completely.
Can I just say, apparently the latest news is that James Corden played a role in Lampard's Chelsea return.
Oh, for God's sake.
That explains.
Maybe we should have a go with Sam Bailey, see if she can have a word with Pearson. Not the same, really, is it? Brad, have a good one, mate, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for popping on.
See you tomorrow, mate, and good luck both of you. Enjoy the show.
Brad, from Top 10 Battles, his details are in the description below as well. Just last couple of questions now, Carl, and I'll let you get and go and have a drink and get over the lead score.
My buddy needed it as well, actually. So.
What was his? Did he have a plan B? Because everything that we were saying against Rodgers, he didn't have a plan B. Oops, let me just see. That's gone very, very wrong, that layout there, hasn't it? There we go. What was? Well, you're nodding your head, so I'm guessing Marsch's plan B's either non-existent or not very good.
It was non-existent. It was like Bielsa. So, it was like plan A++ in a way. Yeah, you still continue really hard, but yeah, there's no plan B, C, D, G's, number, whatever, completely. So, yeah.
So would he look at a game and he's sort of, say, losing 1-0 and the substitutions he would make, because Rodgers very rarely made a substitution before the 60th minute, and then more often than not, it was like for like.
No, because the problem was he substituted he substituted the players quite late when they were so behind and the time was running out. He did it so late, it never changed the game. It never had a huge impact on the game, and that's the one thing. Yeah, I would take really cautious for that one because his substitutions sometimes could be like for like, but it just didn't work out properly, and that's the issue you need to be careful of because he was not very flexible with his substitutions quite much.
Well, you made me feel worse than I was feeling. You've brought me down to your level here.
I needed to because I want to be on the I'm warning y'all not to do this. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You're sounding like Doug. Okay? We told you no more than 3 seasons. We did warn you.
I know.
Okay, I'm going to ask you now. Put your money on it. Name 3 players three teams that are going down this season.
One will be, I think, definitely will be Southampton. They've already gone. I think Bournemouth will go down. I feel like Nottingham Forest could lose it as well. The way they've been going on the last couple of days as well, I think they will go as well. I think Leicester could survive if they get the right man in. I think they've got just enough, because as I said, it depends what's going on with Everton with their financial situation, which Leeds and Burnley did call out last season. We were right all along, depending what happens with that. But I think, I even though I don't want Forest to go down, but I want Everton to go down in my mind. But I just feel like if Everton might just get away with it with what happened with the Premier League. I think Nottingham Forest could go down, but I want Everton to go down in my mind completely.
So you're saying Southampton, Forest,
and Bournemouth.
Bournemouth, right? Yeah. I love you just for not saying Leicester. I think, in fairness, though, I mean, we know what the FA are like for making decisions in the Premier League and what have you. I mean, I've got to say, okay, I mean, it pees me off as well because, we didn't buy players in the summer because we were trying to stick to FFP.
Exactly.
Everton have broken it. Man City have broken it. A fine, to me, when you got owners like Everton have got and Man City have got, you might as well take pocket money off a school kid, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to be points. But in fairness to Everton and other clubs, you've got to know now, haven't you? It's no good at the end of the season when Everton has stayed up to say, well, now we're going to take 3 points off you. I mean, I think the FA are hoping Everton might go down and then it's not their problem.
Well, and that's what everyone wants because, I think Everton's, for what I've been hearing, Everton's new series behind schedule and they need the funding to try and get on schedule because they are struggling at the moment, for what I've been hearing, the last couple of weeks. So, you know what? And they need new investment as well for what they need. So, times run out against them.
Well, we'll see what happens. Thank you for that. You've definitely, it's a no from me. And it's a no from you. I think Brad was undecided, but there wasn't enough no's for Jesse Marsch to go through to the next round. So you're off, Jesse. Carl, thank you so much for coming on. A shout out to where people can find you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Chris. You can find me at Carl Levy92 on Twitter, my personal account. You can find myself and Douglas's podcast at the Total Levy and Hall Football Podcast on YouTube, and also on Facebook, and also on Twitter at LH Football Pod. I am back on doing a Premier League review later this week after the Easter weekend to review all the games as well, which I have to do, unfortunately. And you can find us on the podcast on the go on Spotify, as well as on the video stream, as well as Google, Apple, and other podcast platform services.
Brilliant. Look forward to it. Get over there, guys. He's a lovely guy. I hope we stay up. I feel like Dan last season. Dan has already sent me a list of contacts from all the championship clubs. So
Jesus.
Cheers, Dan, mate. Cheers. Thanks for that. I did ask him, in fairness. I think he could wait.
Fair enough.
But we'll miss you next season if we go down. But look, all the best, mate. I hope you stay up, and obviously I hope we stay up, and we're doing this again next season.
I hope so, but I will see you hopefully at the match preview at some point.
Of course, we are playing each other. I forgot that. Yes. When is that's not so far away either?
Not so far. So get me back on. I will come back.
25th of April. It's a Tuesday night. If Jesse's back, then it would be the return of Jesse for you. You see, to me, I've got to be honest with you. It doesn't give it to me. Whoever's in charge, we're away to Man City. We're going to get stuffed. You know what I mean? I think if we can keep it to the 5-1 that you got today, we'd take that. So to me, that's a free hit. But then the manager comes in, and we're home to Wolves, away to Leeds, home to Everton. We need, and I'm not going to say we're going to get 9 points because of where we're playing. We might not even get 1, but we need the new manager in for those games.
You do.
And hopefully get a bit of a bounce. But obviously you don't want us to. So you're sat there going, please get Jesse in. Please get Jesse in.
Hey, listen. I won't say that yet. I'll say it at some point. If you did beat us, just don't get Jesse. Just don't get Jesse. Oh, we lose to her. You should not get Jesse. So
The thing is, the draw's not going to be good enough for either of us, is it? Really?
No, it's not. It won't be. So
no, we've got past that, mate. All the best to you, and thank you very much for coming on and putting us off Jesse, which I've got to be honest with you is what you've done, which is probably not a bad thing. But thanks very much, mate. All the best. Enjoy the rest of the Easter weekend.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye. Thanks to Cole there. Do check his details out. They are on the description below. Well, I was to the point where I would take anybody. I really would have done. It's certainly not like when we sacked Puel and Rodgers was in situ within, 10 days or something. Manchester City, like I say, a free hit, and then let us, get somebody in for Wolves, Leeds, and Everton. Because those are saying they're must-win games. How many must-win games have we had and we've not won? I'll say they don't matter, then we might win them. Who knows? But obviously, sounding like that, we don't want Jesse Marsch. I didn't want him, and I thought, look, he's not even in place yet. Should he get a chance? Listening to that, no, he shouldn't get a chance. But thank you to everybody that has been watching, everybody that's joined in the chat, Gray, Boris, Lena, who came in at the end, Brad for coming on as well, James, Colonel, everybody that's joined in, FM 303, thank you so very, very much. Thank you to everybody who's been listening on podcast, of course. Thank you for lending me your ears. You can have your ears back now and go and wash them. They were very, very dirty. But thank you for listening to the podcast. And remember, you can subscribe to the channel. It is free. And smash that likes button because that really does help the channel get seen all around. This has been LTID TV. My name's been Chris. And this is Arnie. See you, don't forget, as it says there, 7:40 on Talk TV tonight. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die.
This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
I'm looking for Dr. Goodhead.